first learned about the multiverse from movies I saw as a kid, where they talked about there being alternate realities for some reason. Here, there were people who were able to travel between these different realities that were all similar. The thing is, there are scientists who say that this is a real theoretical concept that might one day be proven true. Even weirder, there's this thing called the Mandela effect, where people claim to have memories from these alternate realities. Of course, there are rational explanations for why they have developed these memories, but some say this is happening because scientists have messed around with something they shouldn't have within quantum physics. But who knows?
This is going to be a hypothetical journey through fiction and fact. The answers to the questions we will pose will rest in our ability to have a critical but open mind. In April 2013, the Daily Telegraph ran a story stating that a Dr. Ali Razikhi, a young Iranian scientist from Iran's Center for Strategic Inventions, had announced to the world that he had a breakthrough in time travel via a device called Arayaic. 2 years later, thousands of people worldwide, from the Middle East to the United States, became convinced that reality was breaking down on a quantum level as they were developing memories of historical events that never happened. Could these phenomena be connected to Arayaic? And how does this relate to King Akhenaten from ancient Egypt, Sumerian technology from Iraq, and a cover-up in modern-day Iran? At 13 billion years old and 52,850 light-years wide, this is the Milky Way, the galaxy that contains our home. Within it, Earth is located on the Sagittarius arm towards the center of the galaxy. Here we are part of the solar system, a group of 8 planets that orbits the sun. Finally, on Earth, in my home country of Egypt, is the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is one of 3 identical megalithic structures of varying sizes positioned from the smallest to the largest in order. Except that this is not actually the case, and has never been the case. Even though this is the way that many people remember them, in actuality, the Great Pyramid has a twin pyramid called Khafra, both standing virtually at the same height, giving the impression to many people that these centuries-old constructions changed positions and height overnight. Furthermore, Earth and its Milky Way have never been on the Sagittarius arm, but instead on the Orion arm, which lies about 2/3 of the way out from the center of the galaxy. In addition to this, there are perhaps thousands of other examples that show that reality for a minority of the global population has been significantly altered. Welcome to the phenomena known as the Mandela effect, or should we say, a fractured multiverse, where it's believed that our universe is surrounded by a near infinite amount of separate parallel universes very similar to us, that for some unknown reason are now all interacting with each other.
When science and religion both made an attempt at explaining the multiverse, many people I listened to and many people I've read about were talking about the multiverse exists for each choice we could have made. So basically, any action that I've made could have had several reactions or several outcomes. And the experts are saying that each one of these possible outcomes is turning into a different alternate reality.
If the concept of the multiverse is real, then what caused this wide-scale anomalous event to take place? When and why did reality change for us in our universe? The concept of this multiverse rests at the heart of the Mandela effect. For the uninitiated, the term Mandela effect was first coined in 2010 after a growing number of people globally claimed to have the same memory of Nelson Mandela's funeral during the 1980s. However, the South African leader would not die until 2013. Other alternate memories experienced globally include other historical events playing out differently and changes in the names of brands, the location of cities, and even the position of our entire solar system. Paranormal consultant Fiona Brome, who coined the term Mandela effect, believes that the people are inheriting memories from an infinite number of alternate universes, or may have been physically transferred from them to here. Alternative explanations say that this is evidence that our reality is in fact a computer simulation, while psychologists state more rationally that this is an example of mass hysteria. Theoretically, evidence of an ancient Egyptian understanding of the multiverse might be found in Deir el-Bahari in Luxor, inside the tomb of Senenmut, where an ancient hieroglyph known as the Celestial Diagram can be found. A highly speculative hypothesis states that this piece of artwork is a rudimentary demonstration of how time and the multiverse can be calculated. It is commonly agreed by Egyptologists that the calendar shows a 24-hour time period that include lunar cycles, a 12-month calendar, and the several star systems. However, some fringe theorists hypothesize that the beam of light, which can be seen at the center of the glyph, represents the trajectory of the actual gravitational waves that occur in a cyclical 12,000-year period, and not 12 months. Why is gravity important? Recent theories in quantum mechanics states that if there is any physical evidence for the existence of parallel universes, it can be found in the movement of gravitational waves between these universes. As gravity is almost certain to be a constant through all universes, researchers believe that they could use gravitational waves to detect parallel ones. In early 2017, Gustavo Gomez at the Max Planck Institute for Gravitational Physics in Germany told New Scientist, "If there are extra dimensions in the universe, then gravitational waves can walk along any dimension, even the extra ones." Theoretically, applying the flow of gravity across parallel universes to this celestial map suggests that each 12,000-year cycle, these gravitational waves can be felt across our own universe, causing certain individuals for a limited period of time to become aware of parallel realities. With the latest gravitational cycle occurring in the early 21st century, this would make Egypt ground zero for the Mandela effect, with a cluster of multidimensional anomalies taking place in a manner only a few modern-day Egyptians and visitors there would be aware of, at least theoretically. In addition to the changes seen in the pyramids, several other changes in Egyptian history have taken place. For example, the 12th dynasty king Tutankhamun's death mask originally only featured a single cobra centered on the forehead, but today, both a cobra and a vulture can be found on his sarcophagus. Another change concerns the mysterious appearance of a scarab-headed god in several hieroglyphs, who goes by the name of Khepira, a figure many say never existed anywhere before. There have also been random assortments of modern anomalous changes. Some Egyptians online have noted inconsistencies surrounding the life of King Farouk, which history states that while in exile during the 1950s, had married Italian opera singer Erma Capici Mintolo, an event some say never happened. Other changes from the death of President Sadat to the very personal life of Egyptian megastar Amr Diab have also been noted. It has been suggested that the starting point of this 12,000-year-old cycle began with Pharaoh Akhenaten and the recreational habits of ancient Egyptians via the blue lotus flower. This flower is said to enable its users to become aware of higher states of being. There are many drawings and hieroglyphs that show the importance of this flower, including this one of Akhenaten holding up the lotus. Akhenaten was a pharaoh who ruled during the 18th dynasty of the New Kingdom period. He's famous for changing the traditional religion of Egypt from the worship of many gods to the worship of a single god named Atun. It has been theorized that the early Egyptians were using the blue lotus to become aware of parallel realities via its strong psychotropic elements. In a highly speculative theory, it has been suggested that the pharaoh Akhenaten had also been using the blue lotus as a ceremonial herb to become mentally aware of parallel realities. However, maybe this king was not merely interested in interdimensional awareness, but also interdimensional travel by creating a physical doorway to another universe. Many French theorists and believers in ancient aliens are convinced that the ancient Egyptians were either given advanced technologies from extraterrestrials or developed it themselves. But there is a third option. What if this technology came from our future? What if Akhenaten had gained access to this technology when it was sent to the past and had used it to traverse realities using those cyclical waves of gravity? This raises three new questions. Who developed that technology? When was it sent to the past? And could it destroy our future? To answer this, let's go to Iraq in 2003.
During and after the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq, looters raided the country's government offices and also seized ancient artifacts from Iraq's museums. The museums were also vandalized after the 1991 Gulf War, and it is not known how many of Iraq's antiquities have been stolen from the country's archaeological sites.
On April the 10th of that year, the biggest museum theft in the history of Iraq took place. At least 170,000 objects were stolen. Investigators officially labeled the raid as organized and selective, leading some alternative theorists to believe that amongst the looters, certain individuals went into the museum specifically to obtain a dormant piece of ancient technology from the distant past that could allow individuals to see into the future. These theorists believe that this technology is part of a larger device known as a Stargate, a machine that allows travelers to cross large distances of space instantly. Dr. Michael Salla, a self-proclaimed pioneer in the development of exopolitics, the study of the impact of extraterrestrial life in global social and political affairs, states on his website that the US recognized that Saddam Hussein had some very valuable relevant information concerning the ancient history of the planet, and he was going to release this to the general public. I think that was a big part of the reason why we entered Iraq, to stop Hussein from revealing this information and to also get control of the Stargate.
A looking glass is a back-engineered form from the original cylinder seal descriptions on how to build the units that they made Stargate. So in essence, you could take a looking glass unit, put field posts around it, and open up a hole to step through.
Sure. Okay, but the looking glass can show you the future. So are we saying
future
that
probabilities, not the future.
Okay.
American microbiologist and former NASA employee Dan Crane, more commonly known as Dan Burisch, claims that an offshoot of this technology is being used under the name of Project Looking Glass, an initiative that provides users a means to look into the window of the multiverse, where the viewer can see the alternate future timelines. A controversial individual, Dan Burisch, claimed that due to the extremely dangerous nature of time travel, the exercise of only viewing the future like this is a far safer alternative to actually traveling there. However, speaking to the YouTube channel Project Camelot in 2006, Burisch also states that the use of this tech is not without risk, where he states that continued use could still potentially destroy our universe.
With energetic bursts from the sun and from the wormholes which would be passing through our planet, that there would be a disaster provoked by virtue of these time travel devices, the Stargate devices, and the time viewing devices, the Looking Glass devices, spontaneously turning on and directing an inappropriate amount of energy into the crust of the Earth, precipitating a geophysical disaster.
However, what if the destruction is actually on a quantum level, with the Mandela effect a symptom of this as the barriers between neighboring parallel universe weakens? Could Akhenaton, or someone from his time period, had gotten hold of this technology through Project Looking Glass or another time travel program? This would mean that whatever has been developed in the future will be sent to the ancient past of Egypt or Iraq, found thousands of years later in the present, placed in museums, before being stolen, developed, and then again being sent back to the past, creating a predestination time loop. This takes us to 2013 and the announcement made by the Iranian scientists that they had found a way to interact with time on a quantum level in an eerily similar manner to Project Looking Glass. In April of that year, Ali Razikhi, an Iranian scientist who is the managing director of Iran's Center for Strategic Inventions, told Iran's state-run Fars news agency that his device can predict the next 5 to 8 years of the life of its users. Although details on the actual mechanics of the machine are vague, like the Looking Glass, it does appear to work primarily on the concept of viewing the most probable outcome for any future event, and not actually traveling to it. The Daily Telegraph, the Huffington Post, Fox News, and even the UAE's The National newspaper, amongst others, surprisingly, all wrote about this alleged breakthrough, although these news outlets were extremely skeptical of Razikhi's claim. Some of them reported that the device that goes by the name of Arayaik was developed under the supervision of the Iranian government, primarily to predict the possibility of a confrontation with a foreign country, as well as to forecast the fluctuations in the value of foreign currencies and oil prices. However, as the story began to rapidly gain international attention, the original article was eventually pulled from Fars' website, followed by Iran's Deputy Minister of Science, Research and Technology dismissing the claim. However, a later interview given by Razikhi saw the time travel claims reformatted from being an actual time travel device to just a hyper-advanced mathematical modeling program that can predict an outcome to any given situation. Yet, regardless, Razikhi still stood by the point that the program had already accurately predicted the death of several individuals, and that he was developing another machine that would allow actual physical one-way time travel to the future. Now, the first issue here is how similar this modern Iranian technology is to the supposed ancient Iraqi technology Project Looking Glass, where allegedly reverse engineering. Could Iran have developed their own equivalent to Project Looking Glass and then quietly hushed up the breakthrough? According to the sensationalist tabloid blog Watchdogs of Our Freedom, Iran had help from the Russians, at least after their alleged breakthrough. Following the media reports on Razighi's device, the Russian government quickly contacted Tehran and had him and his technology flown to Moscow to work with Russian physicists. According to the blog, these scientists had already been working on a time travel project since the 1980s at the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. Recently, this institute had made headlines in 2019 when, in an interview with CNN and the New York Times, they announced that by using a quantum computer, they had found a way to reverse time by a fraction of a second into the past. The Watchdogs of Our Freedom blog implies that it is the same institute that had taken Ali to work on his time travel project years earlier. Unfortunately, where the blog got this information from is unclear, and as of 2020, the exact whereabouts of Ali Razighi is now unknown. In conclusion, although all four seemingly unrelated strands of this adventure, starting with the Mandela effect, moving on to the Pharaoh Akhenaten and the Celestial Map, and then Iraq's Stargate and museum robberies, and finally Ali Razighi's experiments in time travel, have all been linked together by us in one unified narrative. While many people can wholeheartedly testify that the Mandela effect is actually real due to our personal experiences, Iran's involvement in this story is highly questionable. If they really are developing a form of time travel, as of 2020, there is still no evidence to prove that they have or will make a breakthrough, given the secretive nature of that nation. Furthermore, the very existence of Razighi's Center for Strategic Inventions seems in doubt and might be just one of many examples of a state-run disinformation media campaign regarding the country's scientific development. That leaves Russia and the US, the latter of which have always had an interest in Iraq and potential ancient Middle Eastern technology could have, and who have long been rumored to be involved in the development of a new generation of warfare, a generation of warfare based on the actual manipulation of time itself.